For years on this channel, we have been talking about LeBron James and how much of a detriment he is to the NBA, that he's an overall net negative, that despite some people's belief that LeBron James is needed by the NBA, they need him for ratings. In fact, he's a poison, and if you remove him from the equation, the NBA could actually soar. It looks like we've been right this entire time. NBA posts most watched opening playoff weekend since 2011. NBA ratings are soaring in the playoffs without LeBron James being there, with the Lakers missing the playoffs this year. Whether it's just people that have LeBron fatigue because they're tired of seeing him involved year after year after year, or, which is much more likely, the fact that LeBron James is such a divisive person socially, because he continues to make political statements, he makes social statements, even though he is one of the dumbest people in sports. That's not an exaggeration. That's just the truth. LeBron James is an absolute idiot, but he's a liar, he's a manipulator, and he constantly race baits. People are sick and tired of the woke garbage, and LeBron James is the biggest factor behind that. And with him gone, the NBA is absolutely soaring. NBA ratings are surging without LeBron's social justice pandering. The NBA drew its highest opening weekend playoff ratings in more than a decade. Last weekend, the NBA averaged 4 million viewers across TNT, ESPN, and ABC. Now, there are a couple good matchups. I made a video about that game one between the Nets and the Celtics. That is a very good matchup. And there's a couple other interesting ones. Jimmy Butler had an incredible night for the Heat against the Hawks the other day. But by and large, I think the biggest factor is that LeBron James is not involved. That a lot of these other stars are getting more attention and room to breathe and stuff like that. And so much of the conversation isn't focused on identity politics, isn't focused on LeBron James himself. And that is obviously a great thing for the NBA. It turns out when the league stops preaching politics and focusing on a single player, people choose to watch basketball. This postseason without him is the first positive viewership story for the NBA in about 4 years. As big of a star as LeBron James is, he has become a net negative for the NBA. LeBron represents the social divide in the country, and we talked about that a month or two ago. Study labels LeBron James the most hated player in the NBA. And it's not in the same way that you have some players in the NFL that they're felt like that way, that, you know, a lot of people hate them, but also a majority of people love them. No. LeBron James is despised. LeBron James is hated, and he is bad for the NBA. The fact that ratings are soaring, that the ABC broadcasts are almost at 6 million, that the ESPN broadcasts are at 3.5 million, TNT's at 3.8 million. We'll see if it continues through the first round. I kind of think it will, unless we get some really bad matchups. But simply LeBron James not being there is enough to give basketball a jump start in ratings. Awesome news, because we've been saying it the entire time. Remove some of these poisonous people from the equation, and you can get back to sports. And that seems to be somewhat what the NBA is doing here in the playoffs. That's not to say the NBA still doesn't have activists. It absolutely does. But the worst one of all was woke LeBron James. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.